are live here with Madison Quinn. We are doing our very first, welcome, thank you for joining. We are doing our first ENVIROlocity blog careers interview. So I'm planning to do these frequently and invite people from the industry, working professionals, and other people who have some insight for you on how to find jobs in the environmental career, some advice for different sectors. So maybe some recruiters, maybe some people who work just in the HR department of something like the Nature Conservancies to give some pointers on how to put in at a popular place like that to work or intern. So what we're going to do is just have a nice casual conversation. I have a list of questions to ask Madison, and she will tell us about her career and what she does. And feel free to type in some questions, and then these will be recorded onto Facebook and then stored also onto YouTube later. So if you happen to catch this, you can watch it later, and then please share it. So if you found it interesting, share it with your environmental career groups, and the future ones will also be here at the same place. So I hope you'll tune in, join in the mailing list, and to get notifications of the next ones coming up. All right, so again, welcome, Madison. And if we could just start off with, what is your title?
Yes, I am the Communications Manager and Scholarship Program Administrator at the New York Water Environment Association, which is a nonprofit educational institution working in clean water. We were founded in 1929, so it's a long-running organization, and I'm the newest to the team, but it's been really exciting to be a part of the NIWEA team.
Awesome. So could you just tell us a little bit about your position and what you do there? Like, what does a typical day look like for you?
Sure. So one of the nice things about my job is it's really varied. There's a lot of different things I do from day to day. My duties include coordinating our member education training series. Every year we provide continuing education opportunities for clean water professionals across New York State. And I help coordinate with all of the geographic chapters in our organization, as well as instructors that offer that training. I also help with the messaging and communications on our social media and our website, nywea.org, shameless plug. I also administer our scholarship program. NIWEA has a really fantastic scholarship program for folks wishing to pursue an environmental career.
Awesome. So can you elaborate a little bit on the scholarship program? Like, who can apply for that? Is it just New York State, and where do you?
Yeah, we have a few different types of scholarships in our program, but we distribute about $50,000 or more per year, and it's been really successful. We've awarded over $476,000 to about 190 students so far. We're actually in the review process now for our 2019 scholarships. We have scholarships for high school students, so if you're going to be a high school senior, that's a lot of different types of scholarships there, both minor and major scholarships. The minor scholarships can be from $2,500 to $4,000, and the major scholarships range from $5,000 to up to $12,000. Our largest scholarship given to an individual so far is $12,000. So that can really help defray those costs of higher education. We also have scholarships at the graduate level. If you're going to graduate school in environmental science or environmental engineering, or something of an environmental concentration, and you wish to go into public service afterwards for government service, we have our NG Call Memorial Scholarship, which is another great opportunity. I know when I was a graduate student, trying to piece together that financial package to make things work is always a challenge. So we really want to help foster the next generation of clean water professionals and folks working in our environment. So that's part of our goal with NIWEA, and the scholarship program has really been beneficial in that capacity. Every year, our scholarship deadline is February 28th, so mark that on your calendar. February 28th, 2020 will be the next round of scholarships. And if you visit our website, nywea.org. You can check out kind of the previous applications. There may be tweaks slightly here and there for each round of applications, but it's pretty similar. You have to write a few essays, talking about your interest in the environment, your career goals, in the NG-Call circumstance, your interest in government service, and kind of, tell us your story, really. It's not a huge lift, and it's really a great opportunity to get, potentially thousands of dollars towards your education.
Awesome. That sounds really cool. I wish I had done things like that. Or even high school. But I didn't know. So like for me, I was a late bloomer in the environmental field, so I didn't graduate with my degree until I was 28. So that wasn't on my radar when I was in high school. So tell me a little bit about you. When did you get interested in the environment, and how did you end up where you are?
Yes, I was a very early adopter of environmental passion and interest. I remember even in grade school, I became an avid recycler, and I make sure my family was all recycling properly, and then that followed through. In high school, I was actually involved in the Envirothon. It was like an environmental competition for high school students to learn about different things in the environment and compete with other schools across, I think it was across New York State. I never went to nationals, but we had a lot of fun. I had a strong interest in biology class, and AP biology was my favorite. So that really influenced me wanting to pursue higher education in the environmental field. I went to Clarkson University for my Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science and Policy, interdisciplinary major. So that was always kind of a selling point for me. But also it was weird when I was getting into, the job sector. If you're interdisciplinary, people don't really know where to classify you. But in graduate school, I was graduating college in 2008 when our economy was not great. So I was like, I'll just keep going to school. I really, love learning. And so I went to graduate school first at SUNY ESF in environmental studies, and then actually got my master's degree from Syracuse University, and master's of public administration with a concentration in environmental policy. So I wanted to have the technical background, but also work in the public policy side of things. And and now here I am using kind of all those skill sets. But it has been an interesting journey for me because I haven't actually ever applied to a job that existed, before I was interested in it. I've had to kind of convince folks to create a position that I would be great for, and it's worked out really well for me. When I started with Onondaga County, I worked on the Save the Rain program, and I really, sold it based on my passion for the program and my interest in stormwater management, as well as my qualifications that I, as I mentioned, building through my education. But I really think, people's environmental careers take all sorts of different pathways. And one of the nice things about the clean water sector is that we have opportunities kind of from any which way you're coming at it, whether you're, a high school graduate, got an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, graduate school, your education doesn't necessarily predetermine whether you can be in our sector. A lot of different opportunities from science and engineering to wastewater treatment plant operators. Really the folks doing the hard work every day, 24/7, 365, operating our treatment facilities. It's a really under recognized environmental career that's so crucial to our whole environment and our water quality to make sure we're having clean water. So there's a lot of different opportunities in the clean water sector, and it's been really interesting to work the past 8-9 years in clean water.
Awesome. Yeah, you said a lot of key things in there. A lot of the students I talk to, they get frustrated because they're not able to connect their degree with the job they're looking for, and it's the degree. And I try to stress to them that really mostly the requirement is a degree in some type of science. It doesn't, the title of it doesn't matter so much. And it sounded like that's kind of your experience as well.
Yes. Yeah, and it's really interesting, especially as I mentioned, our certified operators. Really, a lot of people don't know about that opportunity when they're in high school. Most people have never thought about what happens to your water when it goes down the drain. We're working to try to change that, and I love when I get the opportunity to go to career fairs and that kind of thing. My colleague Tanya Jennings and I were at a couple of high school career fairs over the last couple of months talking to students about all the different types of opportunities in clean water. And it's always exciting to get to talk to younger kids about that. But a lot of folks don't even realize about the clean water sector until, later on in their lives, which a lot of people have joined, as a sort of second career, changing after other things. That maybe didn't even think about an environmental career earlier on. So there's certainly plenty of opportunities if you're changing careers, as well as if you're kind of just starting out your career. But it's always interesting to hear different people's pathways, and some of the operators that I worked with in Onondaga County, some of them started straight out of high school and started in a lot of the maintenance jobs and more hands-on mechanical type jobs. That's a skill set that not a lot of people have. So we're always trying to get those mechanically inclined people into the industry, because they're really great at problem solving and fixing things that are really critical to clean water operations. But then we've also had we have scientists and engineers in our membership. All sorts of different types of jobs, but they all contribute to, improving our water quality, which is the mission at the end of the day, across our whole sector. So it takes all sorts of different career paths to get there, but a lot of what we do is letting people know about the opportunities. And there's going to be even more opportunities in clean water, because the Clean Water Act was passed in 1972. So a lot of people that started working earlier on in when these regulations were being built up are getting ready to retire. So I'm always encouraging students that think they might, consider an environmental career to consider clean water, because there's so many opportunities with folks retiring, and municipalities across New York State, but really across the country, are all looking to recruit the next generation of water quality experts that you can really advance in your career more quickly than people used to, because folks with 20 years of experience or more, 30 years of experience, are retiring, and you don't necessarily have someone with 30 years of experience to take their place. So you can move up that ladder more quickly if you're interested in really advancing your career in that way.
Yep, that's a good point. So everyone out there watching, listening, it is a good time to be in the environmental field. It may not feel like it while you're looking for the job, but there is that. I just went to a retirement party for someone at the government agency that I worked for in Tampa, and I was of the bottom rung of that past generation. Got hired in 2005, and then almost laid off right at the economy crash that you mentioned, and I was that last person in for a long time. And then when I left in 2015, they had just started hiring a new round of people. And in the time that I left, it just was so many faces I didn't recognize, young, fresh faces, and so many people who'd already retired. And so it is across the board. And it's also, associated with the Clean Water Act, a lot of opportunity in the air environment as well. Big need for people in air, because it's very technical. And then we also just take for granted, right, our clean water. I know so many people only drink bottled water, and I'm like, oh my God, I love the water I drink out of our tap.
I'm drinking tap water right now out of my little mug here.
It's a luxury they just don't have in a lot of other places that we so take for granted.
Exactly.
I appreciate that we can safely drink the water out of our tap. So you also said something about you haven't actually had to apply for a job. And I think this is really important. I try to stress this a lot, that networking and volunteering is so important to navigating your career and really landing someplace that you want, and not just any job. So can you just elaborate on that a little bit, how that worked for you, and maybe give some advice around that?
Yeah, so I have had to interview for jobs, but they were jobs that didn't necessarily, there wasn't somebody doing the entire job that I did. When I got on board, it was oftentimes I was, adding to a team that needed more capacity. So I think networking and, getting yourself out there really makes the difference. I think, a lot of people, I remember when I was, getting ready to graduate from grad school, I was, a lot of my friends were shooting out resumes, like hundreds of resumes to different recruitment, websites and that kind of thing, USA Jobs, all these things. And just putting, resumes out there. I mean, it's a numbers game. You could get lucky and get a great opportunity out of that. But most of the people I know, the networking is what really puts you over the edge. Being able to match your face with your name when your application comes in or your resume is seen. It's not necessarily something that, you just put your qualifications out there and the perfect job will find you. I think networking and volunteering, volunteer opportunities can really do a couple of things, both the networking, but also building up skill sets that you don't necessarily have, especially if you're just starting out in your career. I know a lot of my volunteer opportunities, I started working with a local nonprofit called the DEPCNY. It was then called 40 Below, but we had a fundraiser every year and I volunteered to help organize it. And we planned a New Year's Eve fundraiser every year and we got, hundreds of people to come out and raise money to do all sorts of programming throughout the year. So now I have an event planning capability that I was then able to use in my environmental career. When I was working for Onondaga County, we had some big public outreach events that I helped to plan. So I think those volunteer skill sets are also really helpful. Or writing grants and things. If you get involved in some nonprofits in your community, you can both meet a lot of people and also build those skills. And I think that's really helpful. Actually, I was an IWEA volunteer. We are volunteer driven. We have 2,600 plus members across the state that really drive our organization. Our staff is relatively small, but we have all these volunteers that dedicate their time to make our organization what it was. And I have the experience of having been an IWEA volunteer. I was actually on the website task force before. I now work on our website as my job. So it was really beneficial, both in the networking and meeting the folks, the IWEA staff and volunteers, and getting myself out there and making my skill set stronger, but also, the networking that led me to actually work for this organization, which has been really tremendous. So I think, get out there, even if you're not working in the environmental sector yet, start volunteering with folks. And if you want to become an IWEA member, I would welcome you to do so. But there's, all sorts of nonprofits and organizations working in all sorts of different aspects of the environmental sector that are great opportunities. IWEA has some great conferences to attend if you want to check us out. We have a spring conference coming up actually in June 10th through 12th in Saratoga. We have a watershed conference in September in Saugerties, and then we have our big annual meeting February 3rd through 5th, 2020 in New York City. And those are great opportunities. So NIWEA conferences, but also other conferences to really get yourself out there and meet people. And you could end up landing a job from, an interaction that you have doing that networking. Networking is critical and can't be overemphasized. I think it's really, how people make those career connections. And, even if you don't make an immediate career connection, it's a small world. You might interact with those people you met, volunteering later down the line, and it could lead to a future opportunity or a collaboration opportunity, which is always exciting. So definitely.
We are a good example of that.
Yes, we actually met volunteering in the Public Arts Task Force, and Laura mentioned that she worked in the environmental sector, and I said, me too, let's talk more. So here we are.
It's really great. You'll never know when environmental professionals always have some secret hobby or something, have a second life, almost all of them. So when you're networking, make a point to ask people about what their hobbies are, and maybe you'll connect on something that way.
Yeah, I actually had a similar experience. I was at a comic book convention, and somebody was talking next to me, and the guy that I had been talking to was like, "Well, this guy over here is Captain Planet." I'm like, "But I'm Captain Planet. What? How do I not know you?" And we got talking, and he actually works on water quality in the Finger Lakes, and I was like, "We should chat more." So you never know when you're gonna meet another environmental professional, even if you're not at an environmental event.
And then that person might give you an opportunity. You never know.
You never know where it might lead.
So we're getting close to our 20 minutes here. I don't want these to be too long. But can you tell me anything quickly from your career history? Anything you would do different?
I think I could have applied for more jobs. I really had a lot of eggs in the networking basket. I could have applied for more jobs when I was getting out there, but I think also, you know, I was awkward about like selling myself and promoting myself. So I think don't be shy. Don't think it's, you know, braggadocious, or, you know, when don't, you know, rein in your enthusiasm. I think my enthusiasm has gotten me where I am today, because, you know, bringing that passion and that excitement is really going to set you apart. If you try to play it cool, then people might think you're not so interested. So I think definitely harness that enthusiasm.
Good advice. I like that. So, okay, I just want to finish off with something fun really quickly. Popular thing to do here is a quick little lightning round. So I'm just going to say 2 words, and you tell me which one. You just pick one, and no rhyme or reason to it. Just so wetlands or uplands?
What's that?
Wetlands or uplands?
Wetlands.
Oceans or mountains?
Oceans.
Biology or, can I read my own handwriting here? Geology?
Biology.
Dogs or cats?
I love them both, but I have a cat, so I have to say cats.
And final one, recycle or repurpose?
Oh, I think repurpose is better than recycle, because it's you know, you don't have to go through the process of recycling if you can repurpose. I think recycling is better than throwing away, but repurposing is better than recycling.
All right, well, that's it. Thank you, Madison. I really appreciate you jumping on here and being my first interviewee, and I look forward to networking with you more in environment. I'll have to sign up for an IWEA event one of these days soon. I haven't had
Definitely. Thank you for having me. It's been great chatting with you.
All right, awesome. I'm going to log us off here.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.